Wade is guarding Bryant. Artest looking, gets it to Bryant. Bryant dribbling, has to put it up with the buzzer. Banks it in! Oh, he banks in the three! And the Lakers win the game!
Good morning, Syndicate members. What is going on, man? It's Wednesday. That's right. That means you know what time it is. It's 9 a.m., and we are live here at Austin, Texas Syndicate headquarters.
Let's go.
My name's Tony Merwin. That guy right there, this real tall, goofy-looking dude, he is the jolly ginger giant of Facebook, of trucking insurance. He's the Tower of Power, and his name is Joe Campert. He's my friend.
My friend. You are my friend too, Mr. Merwin. What's up, everybody? Happy winning on Wednesday. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. If you can, drop in the comments that you can hear and see us. I already see some comments in there. What's up, Austin? How you doing, brother? How's that studying going? Drop that as you got any weekly wins for us? Yeah, and as we get going, y'all, make sure drop those weekly wins in the comments. We want to be able to celebrate y'all. I know I've got some. I know Tony does, and I know the guy that we're getting ready to bring on here, y'all. This guy runs, which he didn't put in his bio, which I put in the bio for him, which I was asking him this morning, 93-year agency. Literally been running since 1932 is what I think he said. So we have an amazing dude that we're getting ready to bring on the show. He's making waves in the industry. But as always, before we get going, shout out to Viva Virtual Solutions, our main sponsor of the show. Shout out to Rob Lopez. I may be seeing you at the end of this week. I'm not sure if you're going to go to MDM or not, but definitely would look forward to seeing y'all there. But shout out to Viva and everything you do. Shout out to Lily Davies, who is behind the scene, who is editing, publishing, clipping all this stuff up and just making it all work. I don't know how I could do it without you, Lily. So shout out again to Viva for everything you guys do for the insurance syndicate, as well as for Clearview Insurance. And I know hundreds, if not thousands of other agencies across the country. So we appreciate you as always. And speaking to our insurance syndicate members, we appreciate you as well. Austin said, I'm 80%, baby. Should be done by the weekend. Let's go, dude.
Nice.
I freaking love that. Maria, your weekly win better be getting a functional phone. Yeah, I did shatter my phone and I'm getting glass in my fingers and the side of my face. So I do need to get a new phone. But I actually have a weekly win. But Mr. Merwin, well, actually, should I do it? I feel like I have to do it, man.
Absolutely.
Because it's that time of the week, y'all. It's time to drop your weekly wins. Put them in the comments. Oh, I have too much fun with that. Mr. Merwin, what is your weekly win, my dude?
Dude, it's easy. It's personal production, man. I haven't really personally produced in years, to be honest with you. While I was in wholesale, I wrote here and there, right? I had family, friends. I would occasionally get a referral from maybe an agent that wasn't licensed in Texas or something like that and threw it at me, or just my own current clients that I've had over the years will occasionally kick me some business. So, normally maybe I write 15, 20 apps a year. That's kind of been my thing because it wasn't my deal. But now that I'm running my agency, personal production is a little more necessary from time to time, and it falls in my lap a little more often. And it's interesting. Sometimes it's bizarre, I guess, how people find you in the industry maybe, but somehow someone in NABIP, the National Association of Benefits Insurance Professionals in Florida, recommended a lady to me that referred her brother who lives in Texas to me. Kind of a strange way that he got to me, but he ends up calling me and came into the office, and I gave my agents a lesson in bundling, and I wrote 5 apps on the guy in one single appointment.
Come on now.
We wrote him a Medicare supplement, a drug plan, a dental plan, a vision plan, and a short-term care plan, and I did not pitch him any single product. All I did was I covered all the benefits. I covered the gaps, the problems that he has with Medicare, everything that's left open that would cause him issues. And then I said, I can sew all of this up for you for this little price right here. Does that sound like the type of healthcare you want? And he said, yes, it does. I said, cool. Take a few minutes to do the apps. It took us less time to knock out the electronic apps online than it took me just hanging out, explaining the situation to him, and building rapport. We did spend quite a bit of time building rapport, but it was really nice to see that, hey, my bundling script works.
I like that, which I'm pretty sure, y'all, if you guys didn't see the relaunch of Tuesday Training yesterday, Tony kicked that show back off, which I'm pretty sure you went in depth on everything and kind of that whole sales process. So if you guys didn't catch that show yesterday, go check it out. It is pinned here in the group, and it is out on our YouTube channel. So if you don't follow or subscribe to our YouTube channel, go check that out. Tons of, I think we're up to like almost 700 pieces of content out there.
Quite a bit.
And so go check out the Insurance Syndicate YouTube. Man, my weekly win, really, it's for my internal agency, but it's just Clearview as a whole. I mean, even just in the last 48 hours, we've done like over 200,000 in new business. And then last week, like my guy Todd did, I think close to 87,000, maybe 90,000 in production last week. So shout out to Todd. The guy's been in insurance for seriously like 6.5, 7 months. Talk about a good find, a good hire, which we're gonna talk about that. But that's definitely my weekly win, is just seeing, even in this hard market, y'all, and please don't hear that as a brag, hear that as words of encouragement. There's still plenty of business to be had. And obviously, we're doing commercial insurance, but there is still a lot of personal insurance that's baked into those numbers. So hang in there, right? Keep your head up. We're getting hit in the face right now. It's okay. But know that there is still a lot of business to be had out there. Just keep your head down, keep after it, and hopefully this market opens up sooner than later. But without further ado, y'all, I'm actually very excited to bring my guy on. It was super short notice too, but we were talking some shop yesterday. He's one of my favorite dudes to talk shop to. Even though he hasn't been in insurance like crazy long, just the education and insights and knowledge that he has around the property and casualty industry and just these lines of business that he's pivoting into. The guy is just freaking, again, he's making moves. He's freaking shaking it up. So without further ado, y'all, go ahead and give a nice warm welcome to my man, Mr. Ben Criss. What's up, brother?
What up? Thanks for having me on.
Yes, dude. Absolutely, man. Well, for anybody that doesn't know who Ben is, and he did get a haircut. So his profile picture, you probably have seen his other profile picture like forever, like because he's been around in all the forums, dropping always down to help syndicate members. Ben, just real quick, man, let him know who you are, 30,000 foot overview, and what's a weekly win for yourself.
Yeah, for sure. So as you kind of alluded to, I'm in an agency that's been here for 93 years, family owned and operated, 4th generation owner.
Awesome.
I bought the agency in 2018 from my grandfather's estate when he passed. Started with him in 2016. So only had a couple of years, and it was like, figure it out, man. Frankly, it was shit or get off the pot, and it was, get it done. So I did. And then the rest is history. We basically took that agency and began leveraging technology to get us where we are today. As I don't know, some of your folks may watch James Jenkins' podcast, but last summer it was, we divested from that family-owned agency and kind of the small Main Street model that we were accustomed to, and switched to strictly commercial, primarily middle market commercial, and primarily trucking. And of course, that's how Joe and I got connected, was on that line of business. And since then, it's been building out processes, procedures, efficiency to make this thing as lean as mean as possible on a national level. And that's what we're doing, man.
Love it, dude. What's a weekly win? I know we were talking about it backstage.
Yeah. So a big one for us is we're finally to the point where we're ready to bring on some more people. And as everyone knows, finding good talent is extremely difficult. And we threw out some advertisements, and it was like 10 days we had 53 applicants. It was insane. And we thought it was going to be the opposite. We thought it was going to be like 12 a month, and sifting through just a bunch of junk. But we had 53 applicants, 16 qualified, and we're finishing up second interviews with 4 of them this week, hopefully to get one on board. We're going to start making offers next week and see if we can't get some producers on board so we can start to hockey stick, man. You know the drill.
Yeah. Love it. What do you say qualified? What are you using in that process, I guess, to qualify people?
You know, we utilize a job form that we've built with specific questions. I mean, obviously, even to get in, when you have 53 applicants, you're usually not going to be talking to someone who's not carrying a license, you know, just some or has zero insurance history, at least in our case. Down the road, hiring people without insurance experience has actually gone really well in the past because you have the opportunity to kind of mold that person. Don't have to break bad habits. You don't have to do this or that. But where we are right now, we really need. It's a good problem to have. We have more leads than we have agents to handle them, and so we need someone who's a little more plug and play. So yeah, you got that problem, Joe?
I do too, man.
Same.
I think we're all in it right now. Like, dude, I'm trying to hire people right now, man. Too. So I 100% feel that.
Yeah. So that's my weekly win. You know, I mean, it's gone really good, and we got some solid applicants to look at. So we're excited for what the rest of this week brings.
Love it, man. Well,
Where-
dude, go ahead.
Where are you getting your applicants from?
You know, a multitude of different places. So
apologize.
primarily LinkedIn. You know,
okay.
paid advertising through LinkedIn, but we also built out our own advertisement. We have a marketing team, a local marketing team here that we use. That's fantastic. So that went out on every social media platform you can imagine. I mean,
Okay.
it's Google My Business, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, you name it, we have it out there. So
Love it. Well, dude, we have some pre-curated questions. Gosh, I got that word from Dave Williams because it's really smart to have some pre-curated questions for your guest. We found that out. But it's a difficult word for me to say. I'm good at insurance, though. But no, actually, I want to ask you, man, and I know that we've kind of talked some about this, but maybe not as in depth, or maybe I just don't remember. So forgive me if we have. But I want you to kind of share, 93-year agency. I hope you guys heard that, right? And one thing that I love is that's kind of one of my MOs is I'm trying to build a 100-year agency, right? And so I love seeing like fourth gen, like really doing, but you're changing it up and you're changing the game. Right. And so I kind of want to hear just what was that process like? So, and you didn't necessarily mention it, but y'all, like when he said like they're changing it up, like they sold their entire personal lines division and have gone just gung ho into the commercial side of things. I know you were doing obviously, those large commercial habitational accounts, and then obviously now heavy into transportation and trucking. Talk through some of that process. Was there like any beef within the family? Was there like, hey, did you have any doubt? Like, man, am I making the right decision? Like, we've been around for almost 100 years and I'm changing this thing up. Like, maybe talk through some of that. Cause I think there's some members in here that would be able to either resonate or potentially relate to some of those feelings. Or maybe, hey, dude, it was a badass process and it was the best thing I ever did. Give us some of that.
it was a little bit of all of that. So to keep it short and sweet, because the story can get lengthy, but keep it short and sweet. I know there was no beef within the family. It was Thanksgiving of 2022. We were all at my brother's house in Rapid City, South Dakota. And I had kind of been joking to my wife about, we had started writing more and more commercial in that family-owned agency. And so a little bit of backstory on that. We were primarily agricultural farms and ranches being based in Western Nebraska. That's to be expected. So we were farm ranch, Main Street commercial, your little coffee shops, parts stores, stuff like that. And then personal lines in about 5 or 6 states: South Dakota, Nebraska, Eastern Colorado, Wyoming, Northern Kansas, stuff like that. But I joked with my wife, like, as we move into commercial, I was ready for something a little more challenging than, I could write personal lines like it was, it was just ridiculous. It was just kind of too easy for us. And because we had been in the town we had been in the same building, mind you, for 90 years, we were already the town powerhouse. Everyone knew Strong Insurance is where you get insurance. And so I didn't have to market. I didn't have to hone my marketing skills very much, things like that to generate business. And I wanted to do that. I never got the opportunity coming into such an established agency to build it the way I wanted to build it. And so made the joke with my wife, I'm just going to sell this thing and go commercial. Kind of made the same joke at Thanksgiving that year. And it was January the following year that we were doing it. And by June 1st, we had divested. And when I say divested, we didn't just get rid of our personal lines. We came down to, we brought about $100,000 in premium with us.
Wow.
We went basically back to scratch and relaunched, focusing on kind of all things middle market commercial. We had a few verticals that we were primarily focused in: habitational, transportation, contractors, professional offices, etc. Um, and trucking and transportation just kind of took the reins from us. I mean, the leads just kept coming and coming, and we're like, well, if we're in a straight line and everything's going well, let's just hit the gas and see how this works. And so that's primarily the two things we're doing: trucking, transportation, and habitational. Through all of that, like I say, the biggest thing was optimizing technology. Shout out to Viva. We've got them on board, and they're part of our processes and procedures. We've got a VA who handles a lot of our back end quoting and rating for us, and so we really kind of dialed in those processes and procedures, and it's been awesome. It's been fantastic. There was a little bit of hesitation from some of the staff. They all came with me, which was awesome. My family all got on board pretty quick, which was awesome. My wife was like, all right, let's do it. We moved 45 minutes down the road to both of our hometowns and went to work, man.
I love that, dude. Isn't it like, well, obviously, I mean, obviously some of the ins and outs of Redwood and Clearview and just kind of, what that transition and process has been. And don't get me wrong, like, and I know that you can speak to this as well, as like, man, it ain't easy, right? And just all of the necessary steps in order to actually get it done and complete it. And then it's okay, but now we got to revamp this thing and now we got to get back up, right? But man, ain't it the best feeling, dude, when that shit just starts to go and you're like, oh man, like just the momentum and that wave that you freaking ride. I mean, dude, there's not really any feeling like that. I real quick too, for anybody that maybe doesn't know, can you describe or kind of get into a little bit of just what, obviously I know, but like what middle market is, just to kind of describe that so they know when you're referencing middle market, what that is?
Yeah, for sure. I think middle market in most cases is different in each agency that you talk to. So one agency might consider 100,000 the break-in point to middle market versus small commercial. In my eyes, you're usually looking at 50,000 in premium before I would consider something to start entering that middle market realm. But yeah, 50 to 100,000 plus, up to probably $1 million or $2 million in premium, and then you start getting into some large cap stuff, and that's when stuff really gets fun. But yeah, that's kind of our bubble. We try to, our primary target for our agency middle market is we don't love to be really spending time on much under 25,000 in premium or 2,500 in revenue. That's kind of our low end if we can help it. Occasionally, if I know there's a low service client who stops in here, we might work with them, but that's our middle market target right there, about 25 grand.
Love it, dude. Well, dude, let's get into this real quick, because I do have some questions I wanted to ask you, and Ben, I put those in the private chat too if you end up needing to put them up on your side of things. But the first one I wanted to ask you here is, so drawing upon your personal experiences, what do you believe are the top skills and qualities needed to succeed in the insurance industry? How have these skills helped you in your career? So again, what do you believe are the top skills and qualities needed to succeed in this industry?
I think that question has a couple different answers based on where your position is in the industry. Producer skills are going to be a little bit different than maybe an agency owner skills, but overall, especially, like, probably my number one thing that I say that both a producer and an agency owner has to have is the ability to talk to people and get on their level as quickly as possible. Some people will disagree with this, but if you hear me in my office cussing up a storm, you better believe that the client on the other end of the phone is cussing up a storm too. And I connected with that right away, and I already have a little bit of a potty mouth, so it works for me. But if you also hear me talking as proper and prim as possible, it's because that's how my client's talking on the other side of that phone. Mm-hmm. And so to me, that's always been a huge, huge piece, is to be able to relate and connect with a client, whether it's the way you talk to them, the subject matter you're talking about. That's always been a key for me and my success personally. So I think that's one of the most important qualities to have in either an agency owner or a producer. And then, I mean, it's resilience, especially if you're starting scratch or you have a small book and you're just grinding, man. You got to be able to grind. And there's times where you just want to go home, and when
Oh,
you don't go
crap, I
home,
work from home. Dang it.
yeah, then you're really in trouble. But yeah, I mean, or hang up the hat for the day, however you want to put that term. But those that don't do that are the ones that are going to outperform those who do. Now, you still have to find time for yourself. You've got to have that time. But if it's 5 o'clock on a Friday or 3 o'clock on a Friday, and you've got an account on the hook, and you say, well, 5 o'clock's here, I'm going to hang up the hat, and you're halfway through marketing an account, it's like, would it have been that bad to spend an extra 30 minutes getting that out to market so that way it's in their inbox first thing Monday morning? Probably not. Get it done. You know what I mean? So that's just, those are things that have always worked well for me and what have helped us succeed.
Certainly. You hit the nail on the head with people skills. How do you develop people skills in an agent, say, that maybe doesn't really have them? He needs to grow them, right? How do you,
right. I mean,
how does a person develop or grow their people skills?
Right. It's something that we are actually continuously working on is that connection piece. If you have the ability to listen in on phone calls as an agency owner and give pointers to your producers, definitely that's a huge piece. You can identify, hey, maybe I would have said this a little bit differently. And what's crazy is this can even translate as far into emails. It doesn't have to even be a phone call or an in-person meeting, but even the way you communicate via email and the verbiage you use in emails can make a huge difference in what kind of response you generate back. And so that's something that we try to do. I countless times have stood behind Amber's desk and said, hey, I would say this a little differently, or hey, that's perfect, leave that there and change this, or hey, that's perfect, don't change a thing, hit the send button. And I think that's, I mean, as far as developing outside of that, it's exposure to people. You need to be in front of people, talking to people, figuring out yourself what kind of cues you can listen to on the phone that, oh shit, I shouldn't have said that like that. Did that turn people off on the phone? Okay, well, maybe don't do that then, So really listening to the cues and the change of tone in people's voice when you're talking to them. That's how I would develop that. And it's going to take some time. I've just kind of always had it. I don't know.
Yeah, some people are certainly naturally talented, right?
Yeah. And I've seen some of our producers that way. Amber, she wins the account. She wins them on the first phone call.
Yeah.
Right.
You can usually tell in that first phone call if she's going to close that account or not. And it's because she has pretty good personal skills and she knows how to help educate and make these. Well, she specifically does tracking and transportation. She knows how to educate and make these people feel comfortable that she knows what the hell she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that helps tremendously.
Well, and why is that though? Because she's got trip certification and all the things that me and Tony talk about this a lot is just after hour things, right? Like, hey, when you're in the office and like, here is your, like what you're supposed to be doing, what you're trying to achieve, the goals that you're trying to hit. And then again, they hang up the hat, but they want to get better, but then they wonder why am I still just at the same production level, or why am I still kind of not even necessarily maybe in a rut, just in the lane, but I'm trying to bump up a little bit. And it's like, well, what are you doing outside of work to get better, right? To allow you to now bring that into the office where Amber, and I've heard Amber and I see her in the Facebook groups too. And I'm just like, hey, that's all you, homegirl. Like, she's quick to it. She knows what she's talking about. And you can tell that she's not selling that way because she sucks, right? Like let's be honest. Like, she knows what she's doing, y'all. And that's through education. It's things that she's doing outside of just what Ben was just talking about. It's funny. I can't tell you how many agents I talk to. I swear half of them don't want to record the phone call just because they don't want to hear their own voice. And that can be one of the most difficult things. And it's something I do every single week with these podcasts because I'm listening to myself to see, okay, hey, where was my flow? How many freaking ums did I just say there? My Lord, man. But I can only hear myself say so many times until it's like, all right, dude, you got to stop saying right? But that's so important, and it's that continuously listening back. What's funny too is you guys should have never stopped that. I think we'll out the gate we'll always do it. I think we're taught that, hey, you do the role play, you listen back to the phone calls, you spot check stuff, right? But then I'm a year or two into this thing, and this was me personally. Like, I stopped doing those things, or I stopped rewatching all of my shows or my podcasts or the things that I was speaking at. And what do you know? the ums came back. And I'm like, bro, I didn't say for a year and a half, dude. And now I'm looking at this like, what the heck is going on? And it's like, well, I stopped doing the things that I knew were helping me not say and I think that is so applicable to what we're talking about here, on the phones, because it's tough. Ben, I know you've heard it too, like hearing your own voice, and you're like, oh, that is not me. Especially our early phone calls. You remember those? Like, dude,
Oh yeah.
Hi, this is Joe with Allstate. It's like, oh man, like those ones are tough. Yeah, literally. Let me. I don't know. Let me ask my manager. Yeah. Gosh, that's
yeah,
funny.
plenty of that. I listened back to the first podcast I did with James Jenkins, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, right. But here we are. We'll talk through some of that. What are the power? And actually, hold on, let me pull up that question because it's actually specific to what I wanted to actually ask you on. Is so networking and relationship building are crucial for success in the insurance industry. What steps do you take to expand your professional network and build strong relationships with industry peers and potential clients?
I would say industry peers is probably where I excel, even better than potential clients. I love connecting with other people in the industry. That's why me and you would talk. That's why Hunter Nelson up in Sioux Falls and I talk. Is because those are the people that are, iron sharpens iron. Those are the people that are going to make you better at what you do. And so, Hunter calls me, needs some help with something, I'm happy to give him pointers. And if I've got something that maybe I think he can help with, he's the man I'm going to call. And it's obviously not just him, but that seems to be probably my favorite relationship to cultivate is industry peers. And it also lets people know that you exist. There might be an instance where someone's not licensed in a state like Merwin was talking about this morning, where they don't have access to a certain carrier in a state or whatever the situation may be. And when you have cultivated that relationship, guess who they're going to call when they need that help, And so that's the big piece for me. And then as far as cultivating client relationship, there's 1,000 ways to work on that. You can cold call people, you can bug the heck out of people, you can shoot videos on whether it be Loom or Vidyard or whoever, and send out video communication to try to put a face to the name or in the voice, I guess. Even though you don't want to listen to yourself on those videos, shooting those videos will help and get them into people's hands. We've had quite a few accounts, especially lately, where we've educated clients, explained why they need this or that, and really cultivated those relationships, and they don't close with us and they go somewhere else. And 3 months later, they're calling our phone back. We should have went with you in the first place. You guys knew what you were doing. You talked us through everything. We should have just went with you. So education and then just finding a way to get them on the phone. You're going to get gate kept everywhere. It's going to happen. So those are kind of the big pieces that I see. But first and foremost, get in with your industry peers and share knowledge. That's going to take you further in this industry than probably anything else will, in my opinion.
Okay, question for you. We're going to do this real time. I was going to ask you after the show, but I literally need help on this, and you might know how to help me on this. So I got an auto body shop. Okay, he was a longtime client of mine, ended up AOR into a local agency up in Missouri. He has a used car lot, and then it's an exotic car. He doesn't do, it's only exotic repair on the exotic car side. So it's auto body, okay, repair. But on the used side of things, he does have incidental car sales because of like people just, hey, he gets them and they're like, hey, like he just flips them off the lot. He is being dropped by Nationwide due to the increase in incidental car sales. They're getting off the risk. Where would you go with that outside of Nationwide? Liberty said no. Hartford's in underwriting. Chubb said no. Trying to think of we're like going through but he literally emailed me yesterday, Ben. He goes, hey man. I was like, oh dude, Chris, I remember you. What's up? He goes, yeah, I need insurance on both my lots, on every garage keepers, all that good stuff. But also I need it by tomorrow, which is today. So,
oh God,
yeah. Where would you go?
Do you have access to Continental Western Group?
No, but I might be able to.
Super regional in the Midwest. They might play on it. And then obviously if you need something and you don't have an admitted market, I think Colony.
I think Colony said no, but
What?
I'm pretty sure, bro. Well,
Help.
he also has claims in the past 3 years too, so that doesn't help either.
That shouldn't matter, I don't think. I mean, I'd be surprised if Colony said no. I mean, maybe they did, but we had one that was all high end lifted 2,500 Denali's, things like that, and they had a hail claim in like 2022, and Colony picked it up.
All right, Todd, you hearing that, dude? We may have a runner for this, man. But again, I asked you that one because you could tell, obviously, guys, he's educated. But it's so valuable to literally have somebody where I can, like, dude, I've never even heard of Continental Western Group. But if I can go pick them up and be able to submit business and save this, but win this business back, I mean, how star-studded do I freaking look to this client, right? All because I have an industry peer. And I have to give a shout out to Laura Story. To this day, dude, I still refer her Florida business. Like, and I can even do Florida business now, but I don't care because that relationship and how it started was just having somebody, hey, she was in Florida and I was not, right? And so anything that was outside of Florida, she'd send to me because I had everything pretty much outside of Florida and I didn't want to touch Florida. And there's just so much power in that relationship. I mean, you're talking like 5 years later, me and Laura, which she's on the Clearview side now, but we still refer business to each other because we're just trying to help each other out, man. I think that's so powerful. Tony, I want to hear your 2 cents on that because obviously we're big on networking and just the power of having the right industry peers. We'll call them peers in your network. What's your 2 cents on that? Or like how do you go about it if you were to encourage somebody to do it?
To network?
To network and just really, and again, yeah, the power behind it and how it's been able to propel you into success.
I would not be sitting at this table if it wasn't for the relationships that I've built over the years.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason I'm in insurance, number one, to begin with, is because of a connection that I trusted, that I had worked with previously. We had a great relationship. She introduced me to insurance. I wasn't looking for insurance. Someone in my network who I trusted introduced me to insurance, right? A relationship. That's networking. Networking is just establishing relationships. A relationship got me here. A relationship has helped carry me through the 4 times I've started over in insurance over 20 years. It's always been a relationship that's gotten me back into the right groove, for example, right? I developed a relationship with a guy after 14 months in insurance who showed me Medicare and was the first person that was very transparent about the industry, became my number one mentor. 2 years later, Great American bought out our practice that him and I had built together, and we got separated, and he went off the radar, couldn't find him. 4 years later, I found him, and that relationship reconnected to make me one of the top wholesalers in the industry for 13 years. That relationship that I established allowed me a gracious exit so that now I could go run my own IMO and take my equity with me and develop what I'm doing now. I can guarantee you, and I can go all the way back to high school and tell you that there were challenges in my life that were a struggle for me, or why I wasn't in my greatest spot in life. And a relationship, which is just your network, is the thing that carried me through it. So if you're sitting around and you do not have a network of people that you can confide in, trust in, ask for help, bounce ideas off of, whatever it is, you're by yourself. You don't have a community. I can't imagine how lonely that is. You need to get out there and talk to people. I mean, at the very minimum, if you get into a room where you can talk to people that are professionals in this industry, they know more than you. You keep your mouth shut. If you're smart enough to keep your mouth shut and listen, you can get information from them just being in the room, whether you establish a deep connection with them or not. But then the opportunities that you have to establish deep connections, like Joe's saying, he has a relationship with someone in Florida. He's able to help her. She provides value to him. Like, those opportunities exist everywhere. A good friend of mine in the industry, Jason Fisher, that we've met just through the industry. Guy refers me business all the time because he's not licensed in opposite states that I'm in. He's only, I think, in a couple of states. I'm in about 30. So he'll get referrals sometimes from his financial planners that he works around. And he's like, hey, I trust Merwin. I know Merwin's good. I'm not in Colorado. Let me get the name. He edifies me. So, I mean, there's all those kinds of opportunities, but you only get those opportunities if you let go of your ego, let go of your fear, and you surround yourself with people that are brighter, more successful, and just ahead of the game in you. And if you are one of the leaders in the industry, that is a great opportunity for you to help lift up the industry and bring the younger people along. Because if there's anything that the insurance industry, especially Medicare, needs right now, we need good young stewards to help propel this industry to the next generation of independent brokers. Because if we don't do that, listen very close. If we don't do that and take responsibility for our actions as independent brokers and help lift up the industry, regulation and large institutions are going to take it away from us. They're going to take away your crayons if you don't start coloring inside the lines. I promise.
Yep.
And one of the best ways that you can protect this industry is to get around your peers that you love, build those connections, and elevate the industry and be a good steward.
Yep.
100%.
I think, well,
and I want to hang on. I'm sorry that I'm going on this rant now, but you pulled one of my strings, man. You should have never done this.
Go for it.
I say this in the Medicare industry all the time. Your independent brokers that surround you are not your competitors. They're your brotherhood. Your competitors is the regulation. Your competitors are the institutions that want to come get a piece of the pie because they know how big it is. In Medicare alone, by the time we get to the year 2030, there's going to be 80 million beneficiaries. 80 million. That's 80 million potential clients if you're in the Medicare space. Bad news, you can't get all of them. It's just too many. Good news is you don't need all of them. You only need 0.005% of the marketplace to make $1 million annually. That's 5/1000ths of 1%. You'll make $1 million. It is an abundant marketplace. The fact that there are agents out there that are bickering against other agents, saying that they're stealing or disrupting or whatever, bullshit. There's so much business out there. I can go into the Valley of Texas where Spanish language agents are a dime a dozen. You can walk 10 feet down the sidewalk. You'll trip over 2 of them. I'm not in the Valley, but I pull Spanish leads out of there all the time and close business out of it. Why? Because the market is just that big. And that's just the Medicare market. The life insurance market's bigger. The ACA market's bigger. The P&C market is bigger. There's 300 plus million people in America, and they all like to buy shit, and it all has to be insured.
Yep.
So stop thinking that the other independent brokers out there are your competition. They're not. They're your brotherhood. You need to unite with them, and you need to elevate the industry, or they're going to take it away from us.
That's good. That's good. I think you said something earlier, which is what I was hopping in on, the edification, right? So when, especially even just think out how Facebook groups work, y'all. If somebody is, hey, I've got a lead in South Carolina, and you comment and you're like, hey, yeah, nobody knows you, but hey, at least you're commenting, right? Maybe you're in the group. But then you have somebody who gets tagged 10 freaking different times. Who do you think's going to get the referral? Right. And so what I took from that was edification comes with the relationship. Not to say that, hey, you're in the room and maybe you're learning and you're educating yourself. Freaking awesome. If that's where you need to start. But the edification and where that business comes from is the actual relationship. If I can sit here and hype up Ben and say all the good things about Ben, and Ben's also commenting, and then he also has a team member in there commenting, and then maybe a client comes in and says, yeah, I work with Ben too, and he's freaking awesome. Who do you think's going to get it, right? And so I think that's super important. Edification comes with the relationship, y'all. And real quick, I do want to pivot to this because I love some of your strategies on this, Ben. I don't know if we'll talk about Froggy Fresh or if you could even maybe pull up that video. That'd be pretty funny to put up on this call. But my question to you is marketing plays a significant role in attracting and retaining clients in the insurance industry. How do you approach marketing and promoting your services? How have you adapted your marketing strategies to the changing landscape of the industry? So again, how do you approach marketing and promoting strong, right? But then ultimately, how have you been able to adapt those? Obviously, you've adapted a lot since 2018 and what that agency was to what it is now. But how do you continue to adapt those strategies and talk through some of that stuff? And I do want you to talk about that video too, because it's hilarious. It's amazing. But man, that shit blew up, which is
awesome. It did.
Talk through some of that with us.
Yeah. Like you said, back in 2018, when I took over the agency, the advertising was we were on the menus in the local restaurant, the local bar. We were at the fairgrounds buying pigs. That was what worked for us because we were ag heavy and it worked. But as we've transitioned over here, we have a lot less of a local presence just because we're in a town of 5,000 people, right? There's only 15, 20 middle market size accounts that exist here. So there's not that much to chase or advertise for on a local basis, which is completely different than what I had done for the previous 6 years, which was that local, homegrown agencies was kind of our selling point. And now we've had to transition onto trying to advertise on a national level. And primarily it comes down to, can you utilize social media? And we're still not optimized or the best in the industry or even remotely close to the best in the industry at it, but that has probably been one of the biggest pieces. I was handling through different content managers and advertising managers, softwares. I was managing it all myself up until, I want to say, April this year. And I finally, there was a couple local gentlemen here who both graduated from the college that's in our town with degrees in marketing. And I was very hesitant. I'm always hesitant when dealing with marketers because half the time you give them money and nothing ever happens. And so I brought these two kids in. I gave them money and gave them some ad spend to go wild with. And my goodness, it has been awesome. It's the best chance I've taken on this type of service in quite a while. And we've tried different things, and what's really neat with them is I get to be a part of the process and we work together. Primarily social media is what works for us: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, blog posts, this, that, the other. But the big thing is Facebook. It depends on your target audience, right? So with us being nearly scratch right now, our target audience is pretty much anyone that'll walk in the door, give us a call. we got to get some revenue restarted here. And so with that, the big thing, if you're doing the marketing yourself or you're going to hire a marketing management team, is if you're doing it yourself, add graphics, get a bunch of them put together first. Whether you have to hire someone to do them for you, have a VA do them, it doesn't matter. But you can't just run the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. Eventually, people get sick of seeing it. They quit clicking on it. They quit, you just get scrolled past. So making sure that you have a plethora of different material, whether it's videos, whether it's stagnant, photos, whatever it is, that's something we've come to the realization is they will start to die off. But if you're going to hire a marketing manager, make sure you get to be a part of the process. Don't just give them the money and then say, "Oh, handle it for me." You at least need to have an idea of what's going on behind the scenes, what ads they are running, what graphics they're using. Our next big step, and we think it's going to be a game changer, is video content. We haven't had the time to quite get there. We've been starting from scratch. So video content is one of the most watched content, especially short form content right now, is just it's bananas. It's insane. So that's just kind of the big difference between what we were doing and what we're doing now is we had to change from this small town kind of advertising structure, the local radio station, the local this, the local that, to a national kind of outreach. And the other thing is pay attention to where you're pinpointing business. If you want to grow in a certain state, geofence that baby, and then hit that state hard. If you got a new carrier coming into a state and you need to feed them, figure out the states they want fed in and go get them fed. So that way you keep the contract, so there's just a million different ways to slice that one, but the big thing, I think social media is where it's at, and it has been for a while, and it will continue to be for the foreseeable future as far as I can tell.
Oh yeah, dude. And I think, for me, yes, I agree. I mean, obviously, me on Facebook, dude, it's ridiculous. But I'm not necessarily on the paid side. I actually do have my first paid thing running for me through Reminder Media. Shout out to Luke Acree on our Monday Mindset show. Just trying to ramp up kind of more on the recruiting side, and not even necessarily the recruiting side, just the conversation. I want to have more and more conversations. Don't get me wrong, I already have a lot of them, but I wanted to have more. And so was doing some targeting and stuff there with some different agencies, whatever. I'm not going to necessarily get into that and what that is. But for me, and really my words of encouragement to y'all. Now, again, this is a lot on the property and casualty side. I know Medicare, like you guys got a lot of stuff going on. This is kind of specific to PNC, but take it for what it's worth, is, adapt your marketing based off of where your industry's at. I would not be running a bunch of text campaigns in Medicare right now, right? Like you can't do that shit anymore. You got to have the opt-ins and all that. And so, but for us, it was, dude, my marketing shifted from, hey, who needs savings on their auto and home insurance? I think, Ben, you almost saved yourself by like selling off the personal lines before the market like really went to shit. And you're like, oh, I'm already all commercial. But for us, our marketing did shift to, hey man, we want to work with business owners and just some of these other products. I'm not necessarily saying, no, I can't do auto and home insurance. We can 100% do auto and home insurance. But the market is kind of saying a little bit otherwise right now. Obviously, dependent upon the state, know your shit, know where you can ride, know the carrier's appetites. But for me, it was the adaptation was what business can I even place? So many people are still out there running like, hey, I'm saving people money on their car insurance. And it's like, dude, but that's not the type of business. If you're really trying to grow right now in this tight market, in this hard market, like personal lines ain't where it's at. I know some of y'all captives are still out there doing your thing, but that's a whole different thing as well, right? But again, I think adapting your marketing strategies to the industry itself and where it's at. What can you write? What can you place? I think is super important. What do you
Sell the market what it wants.
Yeah.
Yep.
Stop arguing with the marketplace. The
Yep.
market makes the demands, you meet the needs. It's actually that simple. Sounds simple.
Yeah. Well, so I guess this is actually a good question for you too, and then we'll kind of start to wrap up here. And thanks everybody for tuning in. If you guys do have any questions for Ben, do not hesitate to drop that in the comments. We appreciate all y'all hanging in here. I see the comments going. And actually, real quick, let me go back to some weekly wins. Removing beta from our new software and launching marketing. Let's go. Nice work, Tom. Good to see you, man. Hey, Jessica Suda, how are you? Mr. Wilson. Oh, I'm not going to say it on the show. You'll have to come back and read these comments on the carriers for that auto body shop, Ben. I may just be referring you a deal today, dude. See if you can get it done for us because it's going to be tight. But last question here, and this is the name of the game. I know for Medicare people, life insurance is pretty much the only people I know this doesn't 100% apply to. I know that there can be some residual there. But really, it's the money's in the renewals for us, right? And so insurance agents often face challenges in building and maintaining a loyal client base. What strategies have you found effective in retaining the clients and building those long-term relationships? So really just what are you doing once everybody, I think anybody and their brother can sell the policy. What are we doing? Again, referencing Rebecca Davis. I love this phrase is, dude, everybody's got the front door open, but then the back door is wide open too. So they're just walking right in and out through, right? Yep. What are we doing? What are you doing to keep the back door closed, man?
We do a few different things, and we do things a little bit differently than a lot of agencies. I think first and foremost thing that sets us apart drastically from many agencies that I see, especially high growth agencies, is when you become a client at Strong Insurance with Amber, for example. Amber is your agent and your contact person all the way through. When you call here and you need something, you talk to Amber because she's your agent. Now, if it's, I need to delete this truck, add this truck, she can send it to the service team member. They can do the work and get it back to Amber. Amber picks up the phone and calls. That sounds terrible to so many agents because they just want to sell, or agency owners because they want their producers just selling. But it cultivates a relationship like you would not believe. And we've done this for 92 years, this exact same way. And it's worked for 92 years. So we're going to keep it that way. So I think that's one of the biggest things that we do to close the gap, get that back door closed. Additionally, it's value add, and this is the dead horse that gets beat. And everyone says they're doing value add, and even we are not great at it yet. But whatever value add you can add outside of the insurance policy is going to make your client stickier. Mm-hmm. Whether for us in trucking, it's compliance, it's general knowledge. You wouldn't believe the number of people who call us thinking they need a non-trucking liability policy, but they're running their own DOT number on the side of the truck. No, you need primary. Right. And that education piece that we can provide by being educated in our industry, mm-hmm. It helps build that trust right out of the gate, that loyalty right out of the gate. Certificate portals for us is huge. We have a 24/7 certificate portal for all of our truck drivers to utilize and all of our contractors to utilize. That's a huge piece. It sounds small, but you wouldn't believe the number of agents I talked to who some of them didn't even know it existed. Some of them don't know that their software does it. I see people with EasyLinks that don't realize that EasyLinks does have an insurance service center on the back end where clients can get this stuff themselves.
Right.
So what's nice about that is because we're not so service heavy on things like certificates or small change requests and things like that, it gives our agents the time to be the primary contact person.
Yep.
So all of that stuff for us has to play together to work the way it does for us. But anything you can do to make a client stickier, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what's going to keep them there. And it's worked well for us so far. And we only plan to add to our value add proposition and what else can we bring to these guys to help them succeed in their business. And especially if you can get them to see that you want them to succeed, at the end of the day, them succeeding is what allows you to continue to insure them. I mean, especially looking at the trucking industry,
Preach.
I would hate to go look and see how many US DOTs and authorities were shut down in the last 30 days, so these guys need some confidence behind them. And if you can be that person, that'll help tremendously as well.
Yep. That's, I 100% agree. And I think, guys, honestly, it goes back to why I created this group. Ben, you're talking about some of those products that are very complementary to the trucker. Obviously we're doing the compliance thing. We actually have a call on that tomorrow within the trucking syndicate. So if you guys are interested in driver safety training, DOT compliance, drug consortiums, DOT setup, you name it, we're hosting a training on that for truck drivers with my guy John Stanley over in the trucking syndicate. That is tomorrow. If you want to tune in, go join that group. And yes, there is another syndicate. There's like 9 other syndicate groups. We're getting ready to start popping a little bit in that acquisition syndicate group too. We'll see. But it's, again, going back to why did I create the syndicate? Because, man, I got around all these freaking Medicare dudes and all these life insurance people and health insurance. And it's like, dude, imagine if I could sell you your commercial auto insurance. And then guess what, guys? If they're driving like a huge freaking semi, I'm assuming they're not just like living in that and driving that around town to the grocery store. Like they probably have a personal auto and then they have a home and then they've got the general liability and then they bring on an employee and that's workers' comp. And then turns out, oh man, but they're 1099 owner operators. They don't have any benefits. They don't have any life insurance. They don't have the 401k. So like, imagine if I can come in, get the commercial auto, the personal auto, the homeowners, the business owner policy, the workers' comp, and then also provide life insurance or health benefits on top of the warranty. I mean, you're talking over 10 something policies, quote unquote, within a house. They ain't ever leaving. And if they do, it's because you must have really screwed something up, man. Because nobody ever, and they're like, dude, there's no way they want to move all that.
Right.
But I think that's also something that when you go to add these other lines of business in a house, don't forget about that. Because the service it's full service, right? So if you do have the health insurance and you do, like, don't forget one line of the business, which is ultimately what's keeping it stickier. Right. I think, hey, yeah, I could sling a life insurance policy, but then I'm really only focused on the PNC. But then turns out they missed a bill and I didn't follow up with them to pay the bill. And then now I take a charge back on the life insurance side, or just those types of things. I think that can come with potentially spreading yourself too thin. So again, make sure you know what you're doing, or just start with one. For me, I'm not really pushing the health. I've got a health person that kind of acts as me or as a branch of us. Right. So still edifies us, gives us credibility, keeps the policy sticky or retaining because they still think it's within Clearview or whatever, right? But it's my guy Kenny, right? So you can use referral partners for that as well. But I think that's super important. Y'all, the more lines of business you can have in that house, the freaking better. And Tony, I kind of want you to talk about that too, just for anybody that's on the Medicare side. I obviously can't speak to that, but like, what is how do you get 5 lines or 5 apps within a household on a sit down? Like, what are you doing there? And I know obviously you covered it on Tuesday training yesterday.
Simply, you sell the problem, not the solution. You don't try to pitch them on the product. You pitch them on the problem, right? You make them understand the problem and they have it clear in their mind. And then very simply, you're like, and here's the solution. This is what I can do. That's the easiest way to bundle. I mean, if you're going to write multiple lines in the Medicare space, right? The best time to bundle is when you already got them on the phone. You've already got their interest. Stop trying to sell them one product at a time. Well, let me sell him this Medicare supplement. I'll call him back in a couple of weeks and try to sell him something else. Like, yes, you can do that, but it's so much harder. It's so much harder to convince someone once they've left your office, once they've gotten off the phone with you, to spend more money with you now. Yes, you have their trust, hopefully, but you got to get it up front. So like the way I did it with that dude, it was very simple. I just showed him exactly what he was up against when it came to Medicare. And then I showed him I can take all of these gaps and I can reduce them down to a $240 annual deductible. And this is how much it's going to cost you. And it's going to give you this, this, and this. Does that sound like the healthcare you want? Yes, it does. I'm like, cool. Let's go write some apps. Done.
Yep.
Like we overcomplicate things. Stop overcomplicating shit. But ultimately, the best time to cross market is when you already got them on the phone, man. And that's going to give you the most success.
Yep.
100%.
That buyer intent is high if they're already giving you the time of day. Correct. That is for sure.
And I can't remember what the exact stat is, but I know it's 3 policies or more. If you get a client with 3 policies or more, I want to say their stickiness is something like 90%. Harvard did a study on it. You can go look it up. Harvard or Yale, one of those Ivy Leagues, but there's a study on it. You can find it on Google, read it. But once you get 3 apps or more, dude, that person ain't leaving. That guy is not going to let any other Medicare jagoff walk into his house and quote him on anything that is in the package that I developed. He's going to be like, no, get the hell out of here.
Right.
Merwin's got me. There's no way I'm letting you come up and screw up this package that he put together for me.
Yep.
And that would be that's same in P&C, man. If you got a business owner and you've got all of his stuff, you got his, like he was saying, his commercial, his personal, his this, his that, his general liability. Like nobody's getting that dude on the phone unless the only way another agent gets that business is you stone cold drop the ball on something post sale.
Yep.
Right. Or if you did something unethical when you bundled all that shit together the first time.
Right. Yeah. Maybe it was at
that's a possibility.
Yeah.
But if you're a jerk, if you're a bad agent, that's the only time you're losing that business.
Yep. Yes. 1,000%. Yeah. And again, y'all, it is important, right? The money is in the renewals. That's why a lot of us are in insurance is to build that residual stream of income. Right. And so we've got to keep that back door closed and really try to provide that client support to keep those people on the books. And a lot of that, again, through multiple lines of business, whether you're diversifying yourself within a specific vertical or it is, hey, you have your life and health and you do have your property and casualty. Maybe what's something that you could do there or maybe a referral partner that you could implement into that spot. So love it, man. Well, hey, as we come to wrap up, man, I could keep going, Ben. I love freaking having conversation with you, dude. Because it's just such a good flow, man. And you're doing all the things right. And it's really cool to see somebody, totally like, okay, I'm just taking this leap of faith, man. And then instantly kind of propelling yourself into success with all the steps that you are taking. So my final question is what's next on the horizon, man? What are you chasing? What are you going after? What's next up for Strong Insurance?
Get this new staff in here, get them trained and then I've said we've already hit the gas. I mean, it's time to hit the nitrous. I mean, that's it. I mean, we've got the processes, procedures in place. It's been tested over the last 7-8 months and it's working and we just need to add fuel to the fire, and then down the road, eventually we'll look at bringing on potentially some additional verticals and some ways to make some people more sticky, because it is very true. And we saw that especially in the ag lines when we were writing the townhouse, farmhouse, home, vacation house, auto, you have 5-6 different lines, they get sticky. So once we get these next few producers in and get them rocking and rolling, it's just continue to find ways to offer more value to these clients and keep them as sticky as possible.
Yes, dude. Yes. Well, I'll leave you guys with this. I wanted to bring it up earlier, but I wanted to save it for the end too. It's what you were talking about with personal lines, man. It's like, man, I can do this in my sleep. And so my question to y'all, and the reason you guys, it's why Ben literally took this leap of faith. And it's because I was kind of feeling a little comfortable, a little complacent. And so my question is, what is challenging you to get better? What is challenging you to get better? And I'll let you guys just kind of sit on that and think on that. Again, we're talking completely shifting a 92-year-old freaking agency because I'm trying to get better. And I needed a challenge. Guys, we have to be challenged. There needs to be a test in front of us in order to pass, to get better, to level up in this industry. So what is challenging you to get better? So I'll leave y'all with that. Mr. Merwin, go ahead and close this out, man. This has been an amazing freaking show.
Absolutely, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, we do this show live. We do it on Wednesdays. We do it at 9 a.m. Central, and we do it right here at Insurance Syndicate headquarters. Tune in every week, man. If you have not already, go subscribe to the YouTube channel. because all of our content is curated there. Lily's got all the playlists. So if you want to watch the Tuesday training shows, you want to watch Wednesday shows, you want to watch Monday shows, whatever, they're all sorted, easy to find. And if you can't handle long form content because squirrel, because your attention span is short, we've got the short form stuff too. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, etc. Go subscribe, consume it up, give us some stars. We love you. And it's the peak of the week, man. It's only Wednesday, right?
Cool.
So you got a couple more days. Put the hammer down. Let's close out this week strong. And of course, we'll always see you right back here winning on Wednesday.
Let's
Thanks
go,
for tuning
y'all.
in.
Have an amazing rest of your week. Happy winning on Wednesday. Thanks, Syndicate. See you.